I'm really poppin'. I know they mad. But they can't stop it. I'm in my bag.
Damian Lillard is not only a cover athlete on NBA 2K, he also has 2 songs on the soundtrack and is featured on a third. So I sat down with him to talk about playing NBA 2K as a little kid, his musical roots, what's on his playlist, and finally, Kobe's influence both on and off the court.
Yeah, look at what I did to it.
Dame, I know you are really busy, so let's get to it. Let's start from the beginning. So, did you have any aspirations when you were 10 to become a musical artist?
Well, when I was about 10, a lot of people around me did music. Like my cousin Baby, rest in peace, from New York. Like they would come to California and they would just be rapping all the time and playing stuff for us. And they really rubbed off on my cousin Deuce, Brookfield Deuce. And, you know, he really started to take off like and push his own music. That's when my mind started to go. And I, you know, to myself, start thinking of rhymes and thinking of bars and stuff like that.
What'd you learn from Deuce?
The main thing that I took from Deuce was just how you got to keep growing and keep challenging yourself. It's similar to like what I would have to do in my NBA career. High school, I had to, you know, improve my pace and how fast I got my shot off, and then ball handling, and then watching film. And then you get to college and it's like, you got to just keep growing, keep improving. I look at myself and I'm honest about stuff that I'm like, all right, you know, nobody would probably tell me I don't do this that well, but I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna address it, you know, because I know in the end of the day, it'll make me a better player. And with music, I'm always listening and critiquing my music and like just accepting the fact that it could be better.
Growing up beside your cousin, who were your greatest musical influences?
Just certain artists. Like I was a huge Tupac fan. I was a big Bone Thugs and Harmony fan. Still am to this day. I love Nas. I love Common, Andre 3000. Like when I listen to them, they make me want to like borrow from what they do. Having, you know, some type of substance or something of meaning that they rapped about. So when I started doing my music, when people hear my rhymes, I want it to be clear to them. Like if I'm talking about my upbringing or my background, like I want them to be able to see it and be like, man, like we can piece this together.
You feel me? Know the game, I've been a student. Keep quiet, don't get into it. They talk loud, we really moving. They don't want to dance, we really grooving. It's in me, not on me. In a million years, can't clone me. A couple real ones deep, and you know Bazzi got it on him, huh?
What about any non-hip-hop artists that have influenced you?
The number one person that I could think of off the rip is Mary J. Blige. Because her music was the same way. I felt like in her music, I could feel like her pain. Like you can tell this was her real life. That's why I love Mary J. Blige to this day.
What about anybody on your playlist that we wouldn't expect you to listen to right now?
Something y'all wouldn't probably expect is like, I still listen to some of Taylor Swift's album, 1989.
Okay, you're a Taylor Swift fan?
Sam Smith in The Lonely Hour. I like NSYNC. I would say those three, probably like NSYNC, Taylor Swift, and Sam Smith.
So take us on your basketball and hip hop journey from Brookfield, Deuce's car, to Ogden, Utah, to where we are today.
In Oakland, it was my AAU team that I played for. We all like spent a lot of time around each other. When I went to my AAU tournaments and stuff like that, we'd be in a van leaving the airport and like we just play instrumentals and everybody rap. Like I've been in that type of culture since, you know, 5th grade, 6th grade, we was doing that kind of stuff. And then when we got to high school, we made our own songs that we warm up to. And then we all went our separate ways to college. Like, and we would call each other at night and just rap our verses to each other. And then when I got to the league, we just kept doing it. Like we just kept making music. And then it got to the point where like, when I started doing singles, I started putting music out on SoundCloud. And then people was like, man, we want to hear a whole album. And then in 2016, I just dropped my first album. And then my next one, I did a little bit more of the marketing, advertisement, the little press run. I did more of that. And then in 2019, I dropped my most recent album, big dollar, and I did everything for that. Like, I put some money into it, and that was like my best stuff I ever I ever put out. Since then, every partner that I have, like every endorsement that I have, like something that they try to incorporate with everything I do is my music.
Now you're in the 2K soundtrack. That's awesome.
So it all, like, it didn't just happen, you know what I'm saying? It takes time to grow it, and that's, you know, it's got me here.
Let's talk a little bit about 2K. When did you first start playing 2K?
The first time I played 2K was the year it came out. The very first one with Allen Iverson on the cover. That was like the game. That's what we played. And 2K1 came out, we got it. Then 2K2, I think Iverson was on the cover the first 3 years.
Yeah, it was, for sure. Are there any songs that you associate now with 2K?
I'll tell you a funny story. So I played 2K, 2K1, 2K2, 2K3. And then, like, I got to that point where I stopped playing video games. I started to be more serious about, like, basketball. And I remember when I was in college, it was 2K10 came out with Kobe on the cover. I wasn't playing, but all my roommates had went and got 2K. I think it was the first year where you can have like a my career, like my player. So I went and bought 2K10, and the song that was on there that I always think of is called Champion by Ron Artest, or Meta World Peace is the artist. And that song is the song that comes to mind when I think about 2K.
So when we talk about the history of some of 2K's music, we're talking about some of the biggest names who curated the soundtracks for previous games. So what's it like to be mentioned with those artists in the same conversation as well?
I mean, it's a really cool feeling, because a lot of people view athletes that do music as like, oh, it's another athlete trying to rap. He's trying to do music, and, you know, we kind of got a bad history. That's tough. So, like, once you get to the point where, like, you're not just on there because I'm the cover athlete, it's, like, good to be in the company of, you know, respected artists.
So then let's talk about your songs in the 2K soundtrack. It's Did To It and Kobe, and then you are featured as well with Handle Life Story with Dribble Too Much. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Did To It was a song that me and Brookfield Deuce did during the quarantine. We was like, man, this is like a song that would just come on while you playing a game, or like on the menu of a video game or something. And we had that one ready, and then I also learned that Kobe was gonna be on the Legend cover, and they wanted me to do 2 songs. So I was like, I want to do a song that showed Kobe some love. But that's like, that was the one I was really proud of. And it was just like organic. To me, it just made perfect sense. And then Handle Life Story, he hit me, and he was just like, I'm trying to get this song on 2K. So I just did it, you know, and then he came back to me like, yeah, it's gonna be on the game or whatever, but I couldn't tell him I was a cover athlete until it was released. So I was just like, oh, that's what's up.
Who wants to play the new 2K21?
Pull it back, Kobe. Kobe, 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 Kobe. Pull it back, Kobe.
Kobe is an homage to the man himself. The song goes, ever since a young boy, I've been getting buckets, pull back, Kobe. So how has Kobe influenced your game on the court, and what about off the court?
Ever since a young boy, I've been getting buckets.
I would say on the court, the main thing that I've been influenced by is just the mentality. It's like you gotta work for it. You gotta earn it. You gotta be willing to put the time in. And I've heard countless stories about how hard he worked. I'm like, all right, if one of the greatest players ever is willing to do all these little things and take all these little steps at, you know, this late in his career, I need to work harder. And I think I work pretty hard, but it's just like the detail, the focus, like taking the challenge and just standing on who you are.
One of the greatest players ever said that boy's serious. He's not afraid of anything after he played you your rookie year. That is awesome for Kobe to say. When he said that to you, was it like a real recognized real moment, or what were you thinking?
I started getting kind of excited, like, damn, like Kobe don't give no compliments. He's more stoic, like more mean streak. That made me feel like real good about myself, especially, you know, being a rookie.
Pull it back, Kobe, 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 hey, pull it back, Kobe, look.
All right, last question. What's next for you in your music career? What are your goals?
What's next? I got more music that I'm finishing up, but I usually like to make sure that my music and everything around it is out the way, so I can just go into the season and focus on basketball. But I just want to continue to put out quality music and prove that I can, I guess, be recognized on a high level in music, just as well as basketball.
Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure talking to you, Dave.
Likewise.
My go-to song this season was Allure by Jay-Z. I played it before every game.
Young Thug's album, so much fun for a while, and a lot of gunner stuff.
Lil Baby and 42 Dugg, Grace, that's kind of like one of my favorite songs right now. So, cause it kind of gets me going and gets me into that mode.
That's tough. Like Lil Wayne and Drake and Jay-Z are those are my three favorite artists.
Do I listen to anybody that y'all wouldn't expect me to? Honestly, I probably do. I'm very versatile when it comes to my music. Key Glock, Young Dolph, Migos. I even branch off into different genres, to be honest. I love old school music.
80s and 90s music, like R&B sometimes. So that's probably, especially since I'm a 90s baby. On Sundays, cleaning up the house, you listen to blues and old school R&B. And so I kind of fell in love with that type of music.
Yo Gotti out of Memphis, he's personally one of my favorite artists. Anytime he puts out a new song, mixtape, album, feature on anything, I always listen to it.
I'll say Dame is for sure the best artist in the NBA. It's not close. He's got songs with Wayne. He dropping albums. He had a 4-Bar Friday. And he's really good. Not something he's just putting out there just because.
I got to give it to Dame. I think Dame's the best rapper, only because I see it so often, and he's consistent with it.
I'm gonna say there's three. Lonzo and Brandon Ingram on my team. And then I think just the consensus person that everybody just messes with, I'll say Damian Lillard.
I think Dame's a better basketball player. I mean, his music is there, as well, so it's tough, but I think more people know him for basketball than music, for sure.
Basketball player. Not he's a great rapper. He's super talented. You just gotta say basketball, but he can do both. He can definitely do both.
Basketball player, for sure. Because if he was a better rapper, he would be rapping and not playing on anything.
I say it's more accurate to say that it's both. That musicians want to be athletes and athletes want to be musicians. We both just have a level of respect for each other.
Everybody in the NBA, or most people, rap in their free time, make beats, make songs. But then all artists come to basketball games, they want to shoot at halftime and touch the ball. That might be tough. That might be split down the middle. Maybe artists want to be basketball players just because, we're taller, things like that, because most of the rappers are pretty short. Basketball and music, I think they impact each other. In today's age and culture and social media, the dynamic of, being able to influence people and kids and using a platform and using your voice in basketball and in music, and I think they both correspond with each other.
You see a lot of, rappers playing basketball, going to having pickup games now and everything like that. And we listen to their music. We listen to the artist music. They make music for us to get us going, to turn up to. Like, I want this to play in the locker room. And for us, we go out and play hard and try to get 40, 50, 30-point games to be mentioned in a rap song. So it goes hand in hand. So we influence them and they influence us.